of the day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our podcast, Inside Christ MBA, the real B-School experience. We are your hosts for today. My name is Rahul.
And this is Shreya.
And today we have with us Dr. Sathiya, who is the Associate Dean and Professor at Christ University School of Business and Management. Sir brings around 25 years of experience in the HR profession. And today we are going to talk about Christ MBA. Christ MBA is a premier B-School that has a value-driven, elegantly structured, industry-focused program that helps you build business and leadership skills.
So today we have with us few questions that we've taken from Instagram and other social media platforms, and Rahul and I would be covering that. So our very first question is, what truly differentiates Christ MBA from other B schools? And if you had just 60 seconds, how would you describe the core MBA philosophy?
Okay, I will put the Christ MBA from ROI perspective of its high quality, affordable, and very value driven and transformational for students. That is one. If I look at it from the other perspective, academics, high amount of academic rigor, integrated with industry, and more importantly, character formation. This is what we would define as a Christ MBA.
Core philosophy of Christ MBA. Thank you, sir. On Reddit, we have a user who asks, is Christ MBA really as fast-paced as people say? And do students get time to breathe? How would you address these perceptions?
Okay, you get time to breathe after 2 assignments. You submit one, you get 5 minutes break. That's the time to breathe if you want it that way. But to be honest, I think it really depends on how you manage your schedule. Just as you manage a meeting, we would expect the students also plan their sleeping time. Just as you schedule a meeting, you set up a calendar to sleep. I think that's the simple aspect of, it's fast-paced, definitely. No MBA program can be relaxed. I'm not telling it's as tough as military, nor as relaxed as a Goa beach location, but it really is in between somewhere. So that you get to learn things at the same time you have time to kind of build your character.
Okay, we have a question which is based on our case pedagogy reel that we posted recently. The question is, are case discussions limited to marketing and strategy, or do they cut across all domains?
Okay, so let me put it this way. Any situation where there are people, where there's a process, where there's a number, where there's a problem, is a case. So it doesn't matter whether it's HR or whether it's strategy or marketing. These 4 elements you will find in every subject. So therefore, case is aspect very essential of the MBA program. And at Christ, definitely, we believe case pedagogy is a very, very important pedagogy because it does 2 things. One, it allows you to think in a convergent way, which is getting the right solution. But also at the same time, it offers you the opportunity to think divergently, that there are multiple options to any solution, any problem. So in that sense, yes, case is a very core part of a pedagogy, but that's not the only aspect. But yes, case is important simply because it has all these 4 elements of people, process, challenges, and numbers. So.
Another curious LinkedIn user has commented, every B school talks about industry integration. What does Christ actually do differently in this space? Can you please break this down for them?
Yeah, okay. So let's put it this way. I think probably Christ MBA or the School of Business Management MBA is the only program where students undertake a project even before coming in. That's called the organization, structured training, OST. All of the students go through that. But having said that, right from the design stage, for example, we have an academic advisory board that is dominated by CXOs of the industry. They give us insights on how curriculum should look going forward. Then we have a curriculum development committee where our industry professionals and alumni are very core part of that team who guide us on how those needs to be integrated. Then, of course, there are many projects, live projects, summer internship projects. Those are there. So therefore, yes, I think most B schools would claim they are industry integrated. But at Christ, I think we really practice it because given at any point of time, you can expect that when we have an alumni invite for any of our corporate events, you can expect. As late as some of our events, Grace, which we organize, we had 100+ alumni turning up for the event. It was more about getting our students prepared for the interview. So really, in that sense, we live that. We claim and we live that practice of getting industry integrated. So in that sense, yes, there's a lot of commitment to getting our programs industry integrated.
So one of the funniest YouTube comments that we received is, why attend MBA classes when everything is available on Google? And what would your response to be?
So let me put it this way. If Google applies to Christ MBA, it will be rejected. Okay. So that's the answer I would give. But the fact is, it's not about having the information. It's about asking the right question to ask. I think in the age of ChatGPT, you have answers at your command, but you really need to know what questions to ask. And more importantly, you need to know what questions matter. Not every question is as important as everything else, right? So therefore, it's just not having that information. Google has all the information, but really, do we know what we need to extract from it? Can Google do it? I mean, if Google was a person, I don't know if it's really a good MBA person. It has the information, but it may not know where to use that information in the right context. So knowing what questions to ask and which questions matter are very, very critical to an MBA preparation. And that's what at Christ we believe.
And you don't get that in Google, definitely. And another student has asked that, is Christ MBA very teamwork heavy, and is it true that learning teams change in every trimester?
Obviously, I mean, okay, let's put it this way. Any good manager needs to have two skills, why we would classify as hard skills and the soft skills.
Yes.
The hard skills are what analytics or technology usage, whatever. The soft skills is how you mix with people. Now let's look at it. If you're put in a corporate situation, you're never asked the choice, whom do I work with? You need to work with the team given. You don't get to choose your boss. You need to work with the boss given. So therefore, in that sense, I think at Christ, this idea of compelling people to work in teams is to put you in that real life situation where you're constrained to work with people whom you're not be familiar with. So therefore, if the question is teamwork important? Absolutely. I think for success in life and in career, team is absolutely essential. And I think we try to replicate that in the classrooms through this teamwork, focus.
So another common fear, people freeze during presentations, and the question is if they'll survive at Christ MBA if that's the case. So what's your response to people who are introverted or anxious?
Yeah, so no, the problem is not the freezing. The challenge is, are you willing to thaw? No, that freezing is one, yes, everybody freezes. I think public speaking is never an easy skill. In fact, actually, it is one of the highest stressors. Apart from the loss of a close family member, which causes the highest amount of trauma, public speaking is the next highest stressor. Now, the freezing is not the problem. Even a seasoned speaker has that anxiety when they go onto a stage. The freezing is not the problem. Are you willing to unfreeze? I think that's what matters, and that's what makes the difference. So the ability to unfreeze and keep learning and constantly learning how to talk in a public forum is what makes the difference between a good speaker and not so good speaker. So yes, public speaking presentations are absolutely key to a MBA personality. I think they are expected to stand up and speak at any point of time. But it's not that you need to come with those skills ready prepared. We have mentoring and we have those many presentations, and you are, let me put it like this, many will claim, we are like the MBA has many cooking ingredients. Let's put it that way. At MBA, not only do you have those ingredients, you have the whole kitchen and a chef who's a mentor who helps you to come up with the right dish. So that's really what I would say that, the Christ MBA is distinct on.
Yes, sir. Now moving on to placements, careers, and future of work. Perhaps the most repeated questions asked online in the comments is, how are the placements really? How do you explain the placement ecosystem to someone who's outside Christ?
Okay, if the focus is, are we a placement agency? We are not. We are here to build students for a successful career in life. So whatever we do, it is with the focus of building character, building values, building those sets of skills that matter to the industry. Having said that, I think goes back to the earlier question of, do I need to be a good presenter to be at Christ? Really, no, because the mentoring, the placement training that students are walked through, all that really helps them to, it's just not about getting the first job. That's only a small problem. That's a very short-term problem. The question we need to ask is that, will our students succeed in life and in career in the long run? And I think the way we are doing it, we have seen enough success on that front, because it's almost, I can't say guaranteed, but we've seen it every time and again with every batch, that students after 2 or 3 years really make a strong move up and they get into manager roles so we believe really that what we are doing, of course, it's not easy. The students go through a lot of rigorous training, but it stands them in good stead as we progress through life. That really is a focus. So placement is an immediate, this one. It's about building character, building values that sustains you through life and career.
A LinkedIn user has asked, what emerging roles are students preparing for, especially in AI, analytics, consulting, and digital domains?
Yeah, I think the market is changing, and at Christ, we're very cognizant of these changes that are happening. So, for example, every course now has an AI integrated component. Every program has. There are workshops that are delivered on technology skills. Another aspect is sustainability is a very big aspect of how the global business is shaping up. So you will have every program a very essential component of sustainability. We have core courses that run on, a course on sustainability, technology. Roles are changing. For example, just I think a couple of weeks back, we saw a role that we had never seen before, something called a techno-finance role. Usually you get either technology role or a finance role, not a techno-finance role. And we have been seeing those changes. And I think we are well equipped to, scale up our students on that aspect of the new skills that are emerging that integrate technology, that integrate strong core business skills, sustainability, and in addition to the soft skills that we talked about.
So another frequent perception asked question is that, is Christ MBA very strict or very relaxed? Where does it actually fall on this spectrum?
I think it goes back to what I answered. Neither are we a military academy to kind of make, nor are we a Goa beach. So if you want a statement, I will say discipline with a smile. That's how we would put it. We are disciplined. We help our students to be disciplined, but we do it with a smile. That's how we look at our program. So it's not exactly a very relaxing program where you come. Because let me give an example. If you had to fight a war, would you send a commando or a untrained person?
Definitely.
Obviously, a commando. I mean, similarly, if you're going to handle the business, you need to be knowing what the business takes. So therefore, the focus on getting those skills and those values and those systems in place for our students. So that's really, yes, discipline is important, but at the same time, it's done with a, very kind of smiling, helpful way. That's the focus.
Are clubs and committees genuinely useful? How do clubs, committees, and fests contribute to student development?
I think goes back to that question of teamwork. Yes, these are really pillars of what you call extracurricular activities outside the academic. This one, our strong belief is, for example, students do learn in the classroom, but there's more learning that happens outside the classroom. And I can share from my own experience. Of course, I've been through an MBA program. And I've played on I used to play cricket, but I know for sure that all the leadership that I studied in the MBA program, I practice it more on the cricket field than anywhere else. So therefore, the clubs and all that extracurricular activities that you do helps you to have the team working skills, collaboration skills. You get to meet new people. We talked of presentation, freezing. I think this is the place to unfreeze and engage with people. So absolutely essential. I think while academics is core to our program, extracurriculars are equally important, no less than the academic aspect. So,
Sir, another iconic questions that most students have asked is, will I get time to sleep?
Like I said, like a meeting, you need to schedule a calendar. But we have seen that students who do well are students who are able to manage their time. Yes, I mean, the real world doesn't tell you are expected to do 1 first and 2 second. No, that's not how the real world works. You go into a corporate. I mean, I will just share an example that happened last week. I think one of the companies had come for hiring and one of our alumni was there. And the question I asked is, what at Christ did you learn? And her answer was very simple. She said, when we joined Christ, I was expected to do 20 things on the same day. And I was completely lost. But over time, we learned how to do it. Today, when I'm in the corporate, those same 20 things are thrown at me. And I know exactly what I need to prioritize and how I need to prioritize. Therefore, but I can see that other students are struggling. I mean, that's what her claim, that she is well equipped to handle that. So therefore, in that sense, I think that discipline, that prioritization, like I said, if you want to sleep, then plan it like a meeting. I mean, that's one simple magic solution I can give, that just as you manage meetings in a corporate, you manage your sleep well, and that's key.
Okay, sir. So what kind of student actually thrives at Christ MBA? Is it high CGPA, work experience, or strong communication?
Like I said, if it's a question of academic, this one, I think Google would be the top contender for a position. I mean, MBA, obviously Google cannot be admitted. So it's really not that academic, this one alone, but I think what probably we look for in students is, one, a sense of discipline apart from academic. Of course, a base level of IQ and academic performance is essential to get into a Christ MBA. But that apart, what makes a student stand out is a sense of discipline, a sense of values, a focused, a sense of curiosity, and sense of willingness to be involved. Like we said, classroom is important. Outside the classroom is also equally important. When you're part of events, you need to engage and be active. So those are the things that any Christite, I'm sure by the time they graduate, they have many of this, but people who come in need to be prepared for this kind of experience.
On a similar note, is it there's a rumor that's going around saying Christ only selects toppers in their admissions. Is that true?
No, I think really that's really not the case. What we are looking for is, apart from base level of academic expectations which we have, I think it's the willingness to work hard, willingness to stay disciplined. For example, we have systems like attendance. You need to very often success is not about doing great things once in a while. It is showing up every day. Therefore, are you coming to classes every day? Are you part of those events? So that's really what is a difference, not so much the academic aspect alone. Yes, that is important. In addition to this, like I said, the hard skills and soft skills. The soft goes very strongly with the hard skills. So absolutely essential those traits are there in a student.
So, and our final question is, what is your one piece of advice to every student who is applying to Christ?
Okay. I think I would say stay curious, stay humble, stay disciplined. These are the traits we look for. And I'm sure if these three are there along with your basic academic expectations, the criteria that corporates put, you are sure to succeed in life and in career. So this is the one piece of advice I would say to our students.
Thank you so much, sir, for your time and for breaking down these questions for us. And to all the future Christites, we hope this episode has given you some clarity and confidence. All the best, and we hope to see you in campus soon. Thank you.